Hi, I'm Dara, and this is A Right Way. I want to take a second to talk about the importance of visual storytelling. You want to make sure that you always have in the back of your mind that famous quote about showing instead of telling. You want to, especially when it comes to screenwriting for film, you want to try to tell your story with as many pictures as possible and as few words as possible. The dialogue heavy films, sometimes there's a place for that genre and that form of storytelling, but for the most part, film is a highly visual medium. So you always want to keep that in mind as you start a script and dive into ways that you can challenge yourself to tell the story with as few words as possible and focus on powerful visuals that truly pull the audience in. So we're going to get started with a real life example that I'm going to do here on the spot. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure, but here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay, so we are inside of Final Draft, and I'm starting off with a blank screen here. I'm gonna write a simple scene here, a one pager, just off the top of my head, and we're gonna have a conflict between a couple that's arguing. We're going to begin with the transition of fade in. We'll start off with the exterior. We will give it a name. So the couple will be the Wilsons, Wilson's family house, night. This is the exterior. Um, a slice of suburbia where every lawn is manicured and every and none of the cars are older than none of the cars are more than 10 years old. Okay, so I have a little description of the neighborhood, uh, a two-family home with all the trimmings of success. Okay, so let's go inside of the house here. Wilson's family house. It's a kitchen, night, okay, a cozy and updated. Let's see, let's go with updated appliances and a few family photos on the refrigerator. So I always like to give some type of description of the room before we get into the characters. And in this example, we're going to do a non-visual description of this scene with the two characters that I'm making up off the top of my head. So one character is going to be the husband is Quinn. The wife is going to be um, Annie. I'm just thinking of a name off the top of my head. Maybe we'll go with a different name because those have some similar letters. Let's go with their wife is Sarah. Okay, so Sarah Wilson, say 34, and we'll give her a short description, but we'll also give her a very typical description to highlight the importance of visual storytelling. So this is just the talking heads example of the scene. Sarah Wilson, attractive, and um, bright-eyed. Very simple description. She enters and okay? Now we have the husband, Quinn Wilson. Let's make him 34 also. Fit and tall, follows behind her. Okay, so we're gonna do a non-visual example of this scene, just to get it out on my page. Sarah, I needed a minute to think. Why do you keep following me around the house? So you're not going to talk to me? It's like that? Sarah, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of you. I don't think things are going to work out between us. Why are you giving up so easily? Why are you refusing to see the truth? When we first met, you weren't like this, and neither were you. It's not all my fault, Sarah. You never tried to see things from my perspective. Really? Okay. So this kind of screenwriting is very flat because the characters it's a lot of quote unquote on the nose dialogue where the characters are saying exactly what they're thinking in each moment. And in real life, intense situations, people tend to have a more nuanced and layered approach to how they engage with each other. And this is not showing up in this particular scene at all. So let's overhaul this scene to really dive in and find the ways that we can make it more visually compelling and trim down the dialogue and still convey the same message that we have here. So our exterior scene that we open with this is perfectly fine, but you could have another visual that highlights or another action that highlights the intensity of the moment. So a two-family home with all the trimmings of success. And we could also have a description of the two cars. And even the way the two cars are parked in the driveway can set the tone for the story. So I'm imagining that maybe Sarah has an SUV and Quinn has a sports car. So just these two visuals, or maybe she has a minivan and he has a sports car. So we're just kind of playing around with that visual to show the contrast of the two. So a minivan is, let's say, in the driveway, so we can be more specific. A minivan is parked next to a sports car with a vanity plate. Okay, so this sets the tone. We could also go a step further. A gray minivan, because that means maybe Sarah is more subtle and understated. Maybe they also have children, so that could speak to this dynamic as well. Parked next to a bright blue sports car with So these visuals kind of paint the picture beyond the surface. Now let's go into the scene for the kitchen and see what we can do to make some adjustments there. Updated appliances with a few family photos on the refrigerator. So the family photos could consist of, family photos on the refrigerator. We could show two children from the ultrasound to maybe some kindergarten pictures, things like that. So we could add that in. An ultrasound picture next to an adorable baby, or we could indicate the pictures like this. Sometimes you can put family photos on the refrigerator, and you could just go with the some of these things to make it more streamlined in a screenplay format. So we could say ultrasound image, baby photo, baby picture, first day of school, etc. Or maybe like uh, sloppy crayon drawing, etc. So this paints the picture. Maybe they have a dog too, so you could add that in there. Doggy adoption day, etc. So we're painting the picture of what this family is like without, so far up until this point, no one's spoken a word. Now let's go into Sarah and find a way to add some layers to her beyond what she looks like and really paint the picture of who she is beyond if she's attractive or not, or what color her eyes are, etc. We're going beyond the surface. So let's say Sarah, um, high school cheerleader turned super mom. That gives a description without describing what she looks like. Maybe you're already imagining her on a different level beyond this very basic description we have here. Maintains appearances at all costs. Now we have a picture of Sarah that's a lot more layered than what we described before. So we have Sarah Wilson. Let's have her enters and heads towards the wine rack. Okay. So without her, we can delete this section here. Without her actually saying anything, she grabs a wine glass from the cabinet. Quinn Wilson, 34. We can put some layers on him beyond him being tall and fit. We can really describe him as a person beyond the surface. So let's say Quinn is 34, dreamer who, let's go beyond that. Dreams of escaping his day job, handsome enough to moonlight as a model. We've already painted a picture of him that goes beyond this simple description we had before. Enters. or let's not have him enter, but lingers in the doorway. What's more interesting than two people yelling at each other in an argument? What if they don't say anything initially at all? So Sarah ignores him and pours herself a generous glass of wine. He opens his mouth to speak, but decides against it. We're going to delete all of this. She exits, pushing past him with her wine. So that's a visual. He touches her shoulder gently. She recoils from his touch and continues to walk away. So this description of what happened, the visuals in here, this tells us that they are going through a rough patch. There's some tension between the two, but nobody has spoken a word. So we found a way to take all of that dialogue out and just have the moment work with pictures. So I hope that this was helpful as you think about ways to build on visual storytelling instead of having your dialogue just dominate everything in the scene. Think about that as you write. Is there a way that you could actually take the dialogue out altogether and just have the moment be with characters interacting and not saying a word? Sometimes that can make for a much more intriguing story. So keep writing, and I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for watching.